Hey, this is Mike with RPS Solar Pumps. Today we're going to try something a little bit different. We have a windstorm coming through, so instead of being outside showing you our hardware, we're going to be inside showing you some of our recent customer installation photos. I'm going to go through the application for each of the pumps and talk about the pros and cons of each installation in areas where they might want to improve in the future. So stick with us, we have some great install photos. The first one we're going to start with is a nice solar well pump to keep a pond full. Let's go jump in and check that install out. So this first installation we're going to take a look at was performed in the Midwest, and this features our 1000M Pro Series submersible well pump. It has 12 panels, and you can see up in the upper left-hand corner here, they used our 8-panel mount along with a secondary 4-panel mount to mount on the panels. This makes it super easy because it's all adjustable. So we have our tilt bracket here, and this tilt bracket allows us to make seasonal adjustments. And so this is going to maximize their water production. In the winter, they can go to a steeper angle and catch more of the light. And in the summer, they can go to a shallower angle when the sun is higher in the air and catch more of the summer light. This is going to produce the maximum amount of water by adjusting either 2 or 4 times per year their solar panel angle. They have their well right next to their pond in order to keep it full. So they're pumping out of the well and into the pond. This isn't the best picture. In this case, we'd want to improve it by putting a pipe from here into the water, and that's what they did, and then also getting rid of our drop wire from the surface here. So the drop wire, it could be direct burial, but what's better is to use conduit. And so to dig a trench from here down over to the other side and run our conduit up. That's going to protect the wire in case of critters like rats or squirrels or other things chewing on it, or if there's livestock in the area. We definitely don't want the livestock going and stepping on the wire. And if you do have livestock, you're going to want to fence this whole area off. Cows love to rub up on all this equipment, and that's going to cause a bunch of damage. So let's check out how they improve this in the following picture. So like I mentioned, after testing out the system, just by running the wires on the ground, they went ahead, they dug a trench here, and then added their conduit in. And the next step is they're going to pull the drop wire through the conduit over to our controller here. And then they also added the pipe to prevent erosion of the side of their pond. So the pipe lets the water flow right into the pond directly without touching the ground. So before we check out the final install photo, let's talk about some of the equipment that the Pro System comes with. So the Pro System comes with our solar panels. Depending on the size of the Pro System, it's either going to come with our 100-watt panels or our larger 300+ watt solar panels. It also comes with the submersible pump and motor. And in different applications, it's going to come with a different type of pump and motor, whether you're doing a surface pump with our Pro System, an irrigation type pump, a sump pump for dewatering, or what's most common is our submersible well pumps. It also comes with the Pro controller, which we can see here. This is the brain of the system. So this is taking the power from the solar arrays and driving the pump motor with it. It's a variable frequency, so that means you can change the speed of the motor in order to adjust to the amount of light and power coming into the system. It also allows for us to do what's called soft start, and so we can ramp the motor speed up and ramp it down, which provides the maximum lifetime for your pump and motor because it's not getting that initial startup jolt that you would with a standard AC type pump. It also has other features. In this case, they're not using the tank full, but if you were pumping into a tank, there's a float valve we can put into the tank, and so it'll automatically shut the system off when the tank is full. It also features automatic low well detection. Now this well was a very high producing well, so we didn't have to worry about it. But if you have a low producing well, like an old livestock well that only produces a couple gallons a minute, this system's great because the controller can automatically detect when the low water is reached, and it's going to shut off the pump for a certain amount of time in order to allow the pump to refresh before pumping it down. That's going to protect your pump and motor from overheating when running dry. Right here we have our DC disconnect. This comes with our Pro Systems, and it's for safety. So with the Pro System, they're running a higher power and a higher voltage versus our standard 3-inch type of pump. So with the Pro Systems, we install a DC disconnect for safety, so when we're working on the system, we can completely shut off all the power. The Pro System also comes with a couple other accessories in order to help your setup. It comes with the wires you need to go from our solar panels down and into our controller. It also comes with the wires we need to hook up our DC disconnect to the controller as well. What you're going to need to add on to the system, and we can provide it if you need it, is your drop pipe, your drop wire, and your solar panel mounting. So we have these top of pole solar panel mounts, which are great. They have the adjustable angle like I mentioned, but we also have what's called our scalable ground mount. And that works with some of our larger systems, mainly when you get past the 1 horsepower and we're mounting multiple large or small panels. And that's a fixed ground mount, which makes it really easy to set up a lot of panels quickly. Great, so that's all the hardware we have here. Let's go check out the final installation photo and how they cleaned up the whole setup. Great, so here's our final setup of the system. You can see he's extended the pipe out. That's allowing the water to run straight down into the pond. And then he's also buried the line down below as it goes over the controller to protect it from any exposure. So this is a great setup of a pro system. It's keeping the pond nice and full, and he was super happy with how it all turned out. So this next one is actually one of our commercial customers who has integrated our system into one of their products, and they're located in Ohio. What they produce are trailer-mounted portable pumping stations. Some have a tank integrated and some are for remote pumping. So you can see here they have the entire system mounted on a portable trailer. This makes it great for driving around. They can park it in one location, pump out of a tank into a pond or vice versa, and then move it over to the next location. Up here, they have the 4 solar panels. Most likely this is either our 400V or our 400 helical pump. They have our controller here. That's the brain of the system, driving the pump. And then, I'm not quite sure, I think in the middle here they've added some batteries. So batteries are optional with most of our systems. In this case, it looks like it's an overcast day, so it's very likely they want the batteries here in order to make sure they can pump on overcast days. I think in this case, I'm seeing a big supply line running up here, running around over in their tank, and I believe through discussions with them, they were pumping from a pond into their storage tank, and then from the storage tank, it's gonna gravity feed over to other troughs to water the livestock. This makes it a nice, easy portable system that they can move location to location, depending on where their livestock are and where they need to pump water. So with most of our kits, the mounting is optional, and this is one of the reasons we make it optional, because we love what our customers come up with. This is more of a commercial product, but you'll see later on we have tons of different ideas from customers on how they mount it for their specific application, whether they're on a shed or the side of a windmill or anywhere else they need to mount their panels. So this next photo is another product of theirs. This is actually a portable livestock watering system all in one. So we have a couple more panels here. I think this is probably our RPS 800 or 800V, which would do higher pumping head or more volume. And then we have our controller here. And then what's really cool, they use this vinyl material in a welded steel frame to make a portable livestock watering system. So they can tow this around to wherever they're bringing their livestock, run a pipe, a drop pipe, either into a well or into a pond, and then they're gonna pump from that pond or that well into their portable watering system for the cows to drink out of. Makes it super easy, convenient to move around, and a great asset on their farm. So this next one's a fun one, especially because of the way the solar panels are mounted. So they also used our RPS 800. I think it's an RPS 800 standard because they're pumping from deep underground. Their well's located here. Water again is running into a little pond for the cows to drink out of. But for some reason, I don't know exactly why, they really wanted to mount it up high. So I think they used like a 20-foot pipe. They put about 3 feet down below, so I think there's probably about 17 feet up above where they mounted their panels. I'm not sure exactly why they went that high. Occasionally people want to mount that high in where it's a high traffic area and they're worried about people walking by, messing with their controller. Looks like their controller is mounted up here. Solar panels on our adjustable top of pole mount up here. So in this case, all of the electronics and everything are way up above, so people couldn't walk by and steal anything or mess with their system. But it looks like they're in a pretty remote location, so I'm not exactly sure why they went up that high with the mount. Now in general, you have to be a little bit careful with going that high. So our mount is rated for about 7 feet above ground, which would be about right here. That's gonna give you the maximum wind load rating. So if you're in a windy area where you're getting 80, 90 mile per hour winds, you're going to want to follow our recommended mounting height. If you're in a place without so much wind and they're not getting a lot of snow, then you can kind of push it, go a little bit higher. But based on the design, we're looking at about a maximum of 7 feet mounting height. They're doing all right, so it's okay in this case. But you want to be a little bit careful if you're going to be changing the design and going a lot higher. So this is a fun install. We don't get many that are mounted up that high. Most are a lot lower, but it got everything out of the way. And these two guys were super happy with how their install ended up. And you can see in the back, we got the livestock there coming over and drinking the water. So a super common application is replacing windmills with our solar submersible well pumps. I've maintained windmills before. They're great to look at, but they're a lot of maintenance. If you forget to lock them down before a windstorm, they spin too fast, they throw the bearings, you gotta climb up there, replace the bearings. Eventually you have to go up and grease them, or else your leathers wear out down in the bottom of your windmill. You gotta pull everything up with the sucker rod. They're great, but they're a lot of work. And so you can see here, with some of our smaller systems, either our 2-panel or our 4-panel system, we can quickly replace a windmill and keep our stock tank full. On the left here, we have a 2-panel system, our controller located here, our submersible pump down on the bottom, pumping water up and out into our stock tank. That's a great, simple setup. They made a nice mount here. So we do want our panels facing south. So south is gonna be this way. And they built that mount off the structure of the windmill. And so that's gonna be a nice, sunny location without any shadows covering up our panels. Over on the right here, this could actually use a little bit of improvement. So you can see they built the solar panel mount inside of the windmill structure. What that's gonna do is that's causing these shadows we can see across here. And so the way our solar panels are set up are all of the cells are in series. And so they're one big long chain. And what happens if you shadow one portion of the ray, that's actually gonna limit the amount of current, the amount of power that can flow through the entire rest of the way. So it has an exaggerated effect on the power reduction just by shadowing a small section of the panels. So you can see, even with this setup and the shadows on it, he is pumping some water, keeping his stock tank full. So if that works, great. He can keep the panels where they are, but if he wants to maximize his water production, so it's gonna be best to move these panels out from the inside and get them in a nice non-shadowed location pointing south. So let's check out one more windmill install over on the left here. We have our RPS 200 with 2 panels, our controller here, and then we have the whole windmill. And I wanted to show this one because this is a great example. You can keep the windmill all set up for aesthetics and then keep our solar pump for performance and keeping your water running and all your stock tanks full.